10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Here we are again with an amazing afternoon. I hope that you guys are ready for the show today. I have a super special guest that's going to be showing you how to potentially become a millionaire. So stay tuned, stay with us, because none other than the famous author, Steve Siebold, will be with us. We'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way.
Okay, well, I hope you're pumped up, because that music always does it for us, right? So today I have a very special friend and mentor here with us, and I hope you get a lot of nuggets, okay? So make sure that if you don't have something to write with, go grab it right now. You literally have 5 seconds before I introduce them to you. So here we are. Let's bring them on the screen. Than our friend Steve Siebold. Steve, thank you so much for being on our show. How are you today?
Hey, good, Faride. Thanks.
Good. Well, we're going to get right to it, because I know that I already have a bunch of people asking questions, and you know how this goes. Everybody's having either lunch or early dinner with us, depending on what part of the nation you are. So our audience is very used to cheering with us at the beginning of the show. So I'm not sure what you're going to be cheering with.
Solo cup.
There you go. Not sure what it is, but cheer, everybody. All right, Steve. Well, it is an honor to have you on our show today. So I know I actually met or heard of you about 10 years ago when I got into entrepreneurship and, network marketing and all that good stuff. So when I met of who you are, or when I found out who you were, you had a very powerful book. And I have to tell you, as an entrepreneur, that book alone help me get my mental toughness, right? Get my worst enemy out of the way. And you were kind of like my daily routine. I would read your book every day. And that's pretty much what helped me through the hardest part of being an entrepreneur. So I'd like to ask you, who is Steve? How did you come up with you wanted to do that type of book?
Well, I grew up on the national junior tennis circuit, and I was being groomed to be a professional tennis player for my whole childhood. And then I became a professional tennis player, played for 2 years, played in college, Division I in college. And then I played professional tennis for 2 years, and then I retired and started coaching professional athletes, tennis players, Andre Agassi, Jim Courier, some of the other top players of back in those days, a long time ago. And I learned a lot about mental toughness, and I really had grown up being taught those things by sports psychologists and psychiatrists and mental health workers of all kinds. And so I became kind of fascinated with the topic, and became kind of an expert over the years on it.
That's great. And what do you think that book did for people that actually got to read it?
Well, according to people, you learn a lot as an author when you sign books, and you do a lot of book signings. And I've done a lot of book signings over the years, and probably signed 100,000 copies of those books, I suppose, over the last 15 years or so around the world. And, people, I think they like the book because it's simple and it's easy to read, and they picked up some concepts. They're not my concepts, of course. They're just concepts I've learned over the years from other people far smarter than I.
That's very humble of you, okay, to say that, because I know I for sure have learned a lot from you through the years of watching you speak. So that's great. Now, how did you come up? You have a new book. I know that you've been everywhere in every TV network. I see you almost every day. You're out there exposing the world to something that we share an interest in. So your How Money Works book, tell us a little bit about that concept and how it came about.
Well, you could say I was at the right place at the right time. When I'd known Tom Matthews for many years as a client and a friend, and I lived in Atlanta, not too far from Tom, and I had talked to him when I was writing the book on World Financial Group. I had interviewed him for the book, and we sat down and we talked about it. He said, he's got this idea for this book called How Money Works. He's been wanting to write for 20 years, and we just kept having conversations about it. He thought I might be able to contribute something to it. And, and we ended up writing the book, and I was just, I feel very fortunate to be part of it because it's really powered by Tom Matthews' 40 years experience. And, I'm just glad to really be part of it, adding in whatever I could along the way.
And obviously, Tom Matthews is the founder of Wealth Wave, which is the platform that, it pretty much launched financial literacy with this How Money Works book. Is that correct?
Definitely.
Okay, great. Well, I know that we share him as a friend, okay? So don't try to get him from me anytime soon. But okay, so great. So now we have somebody asking you a question in regards to mindset. So why is that a mindset state that can either help you or work against you? That mental toughness is what they're asking.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, the simple answer really is that, people are emotional. We're all emotional creatures, and what you think and the words you think about it and the words you say impacts your emotions, and your emotions have a direct impact on your behavior. And so that's really why. I mean, if I'm thinking, well, I'm not really sure if I can do whatever I'm trying to do, not sure I can win, or I'm not sure I can really do this or not. Well, then that affects my emotions, which directly affects my behavior. And it either leads me toward the downside or toward the upside. So that's why it's so key. It really all revolves around emotion, and emotion drives behavior in human beings like nothing else.
That's so true. That's so true. What would be one of the biggest, I would say, exercises somebody can do right at the beginning of, going into business for themselves or doing anything impactful in their life? What would be the right mindset? What will be the right exercise to begin with?
Certainly one of them would be getting around the right people. And in professional sports and Olympic sports, and I worked with Olympic athletes, they have something they call cocooning. And basically the concept is that you only surround yourself with people that you want to be like or think like or behave like. And so they cocoon themselves off with very successful people, and they block out people, or they limit their exposure to people who counter anything that they want to do, people that might be negative or people that might not be as hardworking or unethical or whatever it is. And they cocoon themselves with champions, you might say, or, whatever that means to that person individually. And they pretty much block out the rest of the world, and it makes a huge impact on their consciousness.
That's absolutely right. And that's probably why your cocoon came close to Tom Matthews, right? Which leads me to the next question. So one of our viewers would like to know, you could have written a book with anyone, literally anyone in the world. Why Tom Matthews?
Well, Tom Matthews is not only an expert, in financial literacy and in finance in general, but he's also someone I trust implicitly. And it's very important, especially as you said, we've done, right now an interview I did a couple days ago is going on all the Fox TV stations nationwide in the next 7 to 10 days. And, you're kind of out there. We've done almost 100 interviews now this year with those 52. We've been on all the TV networks, as you said, radio networks, et cetera. And, when you go in as a co-author with someone, you want to make sure that it's someone you trust, someone that has integrity, and someone that's going to back up and do what he or she says they're going to do. And Tom Matthews is a person of tremendous integrity, and I've known him for many years, and I have a lot of respect for him.
That's great. That's great. I'm sure that he has a lot of respect for you. And this is a great example of teamwork. And believe me, the world is watching both of you do this together. You bring two amazing industries. You're good at what you do. He's an expert at what he does. You guys mix that together and give us How Money Works. So tell us a little bit about How Money Works book and how this could impact the reader.
Yeah, and I want to also mention that without the creative genius of Andy Horner, who owns a company called Outstand, did all the graphic work, all the piecing together of the characters in the book would not be anywhere near as successful. So Andy Horner really deserves a lot of credit for the success of this book. I want to make sure I say that. But basically, Faride, the book was designed, Tom, the idea we had was to write it for a 14-year-old kid. So a 14-year-old kid could actually understand the concepts in the book, which are very powerful concepts. They're not light concepts. They're the most important concepts according to, that we really found over the years in building our companies and our wealth, that people really need to know. The average person needs to know to succeed financially. And we left everything else out. And we tried to make it, again, with Andy Horner's help, we tried to make it so simple and fun and friendly that people would invest an hour or maybe an hour and a half tops at reading the book and then contacting their financial professional and implementing the concepts, the 7 money milestones, as we call them, in the book.
What do you think? Okay, because we have different, and by the way, I do give a shout out to Andy as well. I've seen amazing things that he can come up with. So that's right. That collaboration was amazing. Congratulations to all three of you. In regards to the book and the concepts, those 7 miles. So there's 3 different types of people. I've been in the financial education industry for about 5 years now. And I've faced 3 types of people. The beginner, the one that does not know anything, right? They're zeroed out. The second person will be somebody who is, has under control, has a few, they got their 401ks or their IRAs, and they got their protection and all that good stuff. And then you have the top one, the one that just wants to concentrate on making huge money. What of those 7 milestones will be for the very beginner person that I just explained to you?
Well, I think really, it really applies to everyone. The first one, which is get a financial education. That's really, you want to arm yourself with these basic concepts. You don't have to be an accountant or a CPA or someone with a degree in finance to really understand the basics. So once you understand the basics, you get a basic financial education, which we think we provided in this book. The banks won't ever rip you off again. You won't be able to be taking advantage on car loans or mortgages or anything else. You'll know exactly what you're getting. You'll know what you're getting in return on what you're paying on a credit card, why you're paying it, why you're getting a 0.01 return on your passbook savings account, and all the rest of it. So I think arming yourself against an industry, the financial industry, which has been ripping off the American public for 150 years, and they don't even know it because they don't know enough about it to understand they're being ripped off. I think that's the most important one, honestly, is really just getting educated.
Right. Okay. So stop being a sucker. That's
stop being a sucker. Exactly.
So, I go through, for those of you who don't know, I went on the streets to ask people questions about this, the book, and do the money challenge and everything that you so gracefully gave us. But, I would tell people stop being a sucker, and immediately was like, it was like a wake-up call. So how did you guys come up with that? What is the concept so our audience can understand from now on forever, every time Faride says, oh, stop being a sucker, what I mean?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story because Tom Matthews and Andy Horner and I were having lunch, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, or 2 years ago, whatever it was now. And we were trying to come up with a subtitle. And Tom said, well, how about, change your literacy, change your life? And I said, well, I think that's pretty good, but, we want to maybe have something that grabs them a little bit. And if for those of you that know Tom Matthews, he's a financial guy and he's pretty conservative. He was a CPA, by training and whatnot. So he's a pretty conservative guy, which I love about him. But, when I said, how about just stop being a sucker? And he winced. He just, and immediately Andy Horner started drawing a sucker, which actually became what he drew on right then at that moment became the cover of the book, or at least the sucker part of the book. And Tom was a little taken aback, but he came around after a while, and it's gained quite a bit of attention around the country, as you know. So.
Of course. And I love it. I actually, when I was on the streets asking those questions, we used to give green suckers to every wrong answer. That way they at least didn't feel left out, that they didn't win anything.
There you go.
But great. So we have one of our viewers saying that they love that this was geared to a 14-year-old comprehension level, that was brilliant. So, and I actually tend to agree, because when we're sitting across the kitchen table with, trying to coach somebody, trying to get somebody off their non-knowledgeable mind, that's pretty much what we want. We want to be able to speak to people and understand, make them or help them understand as if a 14-year-old was hearing us. Now, for that person, that next level of person, Steve, so the one that has it put together, the one that saves and invests a little bit, moderately, takes care of their family, brings home a good income, what do you think will be the milestone that it's important?
Protection, protecting their money, protecting their family from a tragedy or anything like that, to make sure you understand the basics of insurance. Insurance is a very important product for lots of reasons, and far beyond, I think, what most people really understand. So it's important to know the difference between permanent insurance and temporary insurance, term insurance, in other words, and they both have value in a portfolio that's really well done or well pieced together. A lot of times you end up having both. But another factor of that, Faride, is that I've been interviewing the wealthy for 36 years, as you know, and I've written several books about it. And one of the questions people ask me at book signings on my How Rich People Think book is, they'll say, well, why do rich people have insurance contracts? They don't need insurance. They're rich. Well, yeah, that's true. The reason they have it is because obviously insurance contracts are not taxed by the federal government. And so that makes a huge difference. And so they use them in what we call tax advantage ways, and to make sure they protect their wealth. Because when you have any amount of money, there's always the government or someone or some organization that wants to get your money. And then, of course, there's always the chance that, there could be a tragedy. And this happens. This just happened to a friend of mine recently, did not have any insurance. The guy had a car accident. He died about 2 weeks ago. And the family has 4 kids with no insurance. And they're in big trouble. And because people don't really know how to protect their money, whether they have a lot of it or a little of it or somewhere in between. Protection is very, very important.
Oh boy, that's such a strong message that you just sent right there. We see that all the time. I heard somebody one day say, they asked them, are you in financial services? And then he goes, no, I'm in the business of protecting widows and orphans.
It's really true. I mean, it sounds like a marketing pitch, but it's really not. That's really what it is.
It is once you think about it. Great. Now, what would be the milestone for my third type of client? The one that has to get, put together, the one that makes high 6 or 7 figures, the one that doesn't think any of the little stuff that everybody else needs to learn. What could they take away from the book?
Well, I'll tell you what I would say. It's almost a spinoff of the last answer, but for people because I've dealt with the wealthy for so long, and so this one is very familiar to me. Again, it comes down to protecting your money. If you're a wealthy person, if you're a wealthy person, whatever you want to categorize that as numbers wise, there are people that want to sue you, especially in America. It's a sue happy country. I mean, if you have if you have a big home, or you've got some kind of, or you're a politician, or you're a big entrepreneur or something, you've got a bunch of money, there are people that want to get that money. So you've got to protect that money. That's why trusts are very important. Protecting your money, growing your money is another one. But I would say, maybe I'm being conservative, but I would say protecting your money is really important, not in terms of insurance, but protecting it from lawsuits. And there's a way you can bury money, as you know, in trusts and insurance contracts where you cannot, if you get sued, O.J. Simpson is an example. O.J. Simpson lives off of money that he can't get sued for. Now, good or bad or in between, whether you hate or love, O.J. Simpson, that's something different. But he's on the golf course probably right now because he's got money that could not be taken in a lawsuit. And I would recommend that strongly. If you're a wealthy person, make sure you contact your financial professional and make sure that money is protected from frivolous lawsuits, which every wealthy person, has probably been sued at some point or will be sued at some point.
Absolutely. Oh boy. Well, that's great advice. Thank you for doing that, because I do have a lot of millionaire friends that follow this show, and they're always saying, we may not be able to, we may not need to read that book. We got it all under control, but that was great. I totally agree with you. Now we have somebody asking you, if you are in your worst financial situation, what would be your first step to get out of it?
I would look at starting a business. I would look at entrepreneurship. I mean, there's in this country and in any free market economy, entrepreneurs are the people that, that tend to get ahead financially. Now, if you're an executive in the C-suite of a Fortune 500 company, then that's probably equivalent. But if you're not, and most of us aren't, start a business. Look at starting a business, because to get out of a financial hole, you're going to need some financial firepower. So not only are you going to need strategy, like that's in the How Money Works book, but you're going to probably need an opportunity that has the financial firepower to get you out of the hole. You can buy your way out of a hole, of a financial hole. You just have to have a vehicle that will allow you to do so.
Wonderful. Okay. And then who are the 3 most influential people that you can think of that have influenced the way you see money, and how all these subjects of money that have, come so near to your heart?
Well, my 3 major mentors, my first one was a gentleman named Bill Gove, who was the father of the professional speaking industry. And I learned that industry from him. My second one was Larry Wilson, who's the highest grossing corporate trainer of all time. Wilson, started Wilson Learning in 1965. And he was my mentor till he died. For about 15 years, he was my personal mentor. And my third one would be Bob Proctor, the great Bob Proctor from Toronto. Some people know Bob from the movie The Secret. He's been a friend and mentor to me for about, 25 years at least. And those 3 men really shaped me in business and really everything else I ever did in terms of, the speaking business and writing books and all the rest.
Wow. Yeah, we follow them too, and they are amazing. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now, with this pandemic that we just have been experiencing, I was just doing, as I was building my agenda for the week yesterday, I realized we've been in it for 8 months, Steve. And a lot of people are going through so much fear of loss, fear of everything. What do you think? Just by reading the How Money Works book, do you think this can help somebody get out of that fearful stage?
Well, it certainly can help. I mean, I think it's about taking any kind of again, we go back to emotion when it comes to the psychology of performance. It all comes down to controlling and manipulating your own emotions. So one of the easiest things, the simplest things you can do if you're feeling fear is to do what great athletes do, and that's to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. Don't think ahead of yourself. Don't think, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? Just try to take it one step at a time to reduce your feelings of fear and to move forward, to start to generate positive emotion. Yes, reading not technical, but strategic books, let's say, like How Money Works, and also books that are more geared toward positive thinking and future orientation, looking forward, in other words, in a positive direction, in a positive manner. Those books help as well, because it changes your thinking. And that's really what creates fear. It's really just our thinking that leads to our emotional state of mind. So if we control our emotions, by default, we control fear.
Great. Well, Steve, people want to know so much about you. I'm getting bombarded with the comments. I'm not sure even which one to put up there. But tell us a little bit about how Steve, because you, of course, wrote the book, the concepts, the milestones. How do you reap those benefits?
Well,
what do you do for fun?
Oh, what do for fun? Well, we live in Atlanta. We just built a tennis court, a Hartrue tennis court in the backyard. And so we've been having fun with that lately since we've been in the shutdown. We just got the court done right before the shutdown. And so we've been having some fun with that lately. That's kind of our latest fun thing at the house. So trying to get outside, get some fresh air,
Oh, absolutely. I bet you're having a lot of fun with that. Now, I do know something. There's a lot of, that I also have this show in Spanish, right? Called Charla con Faride. And so we go to all audiences. But so I've been telling on the other side of that show, which happens on Thursdays, I've been letting everybody know, because I have a list of about 300 people who have been begging me for your book in Spanish. So Can you talk to us and give us the news of what's happening right now with that?
Yeah, we've had a lot of requests for the book, and even before the book came out in English, we had people asking about it in Spanish. For some reason, there's a lot of desire for that. So the book is we don't have a date exactly, but the book is finished in Spanish, and now it just is going to print, and we're hoping probably in the next I'm guessing 6 to 8 weeks we'll probably have it out.
I'm so excited for that. It's, I've been reviewing it, of course. I became part of the committee to help translate it and make sure that, not translate it, but make sure that it sounds correct. So I am thrilled. Everybody who doesn't have it yet, make sure that you put in your request. Steve and I have a surprise for everybody that doesn't have the book yet, the English version or the Spanish version. All you have to do is send us a direct message telling us that you want the book, and we will give it to you for free just for watching this show. So I'm excited to share that, Steve. What's next for Steve Siebold? Where do we see you next?
Well, Tom Matthews and I are secretly writing another book. I'm not at liberty to give you the title or anything about what it's about, but we're writing the follow-up book to How Money Works. And it's going to have a little bit different angle to it, but it'll really be for people who really find themselves when they look at their portfolio or their age in their portfolio, and they realize they may not have enough money to retire, or they want to get out of a financial hole. It'll be for those people that say, "Hey, look, I don't have enough time. I've got to make up this money. How am I going to do it?" And Tom and I have been working on that book very secretly for the past couple of months, and it'll be out early next year.
Oh, we're so excited. You better come back to our show to show us the book, right? And we'll get Tom Matthews, because everybody hears me always talk about Tom Matthews. So I'm sure everybody is curious to know. So we have a lot of people saying thank you. Amazing. They're excited about the Spanish version. See, here's one. Love to have that book. Gracias. So we'll make sure that we'll promote it there as well. And we have people from all over asking for the book now on our screen. So that's exciting. You guys will love, love, love this book. Now, let me ask you something. People want to know. So before you became the Steve Siebold that we all love and follow, tell us in high school, what kind of personality did you have?
Boy, I do a lot of interviews. I haven't heard that one before. Well,
there it is. It's somebody on the screen.
I grew up I had a really strange childhood. So I became a very strange human being because I was training to be a professional tennis player from the time I was 6 years old all the way through when I went pro after college. And so I was representing the United States in international competition when I was 10 years old and above and beyond. And so I was a very privileged, childhood, you could say, but it was a little strange because I was never home. I was always training. I was getting up at 4 a.m. and training every day since I was a little kid. And so you're hanging around great athletes your whole life and great performers. And so I ended up being a little strange. So my wife says I'm very strange. And I think she's probably right, but that's what I got. So I had a lot of fun doing it though. So it was good.
That's good. Well, the reason why I ask is because I know that you're also a businessman, an entrepreneur, and people get to see the success stories, but they don't really get to see that you're very similar to a lot of people watching us. And they can make a transition to go from being whoever they are now or they were to being exactly how you are or I am. We tend to kind of overpower, right? And they think they can never be like us. And that's why it's so important for me to let people know what personality you had before to what you've become and what it took. What would you think would be the main reason why you became or have become so successful and future more success?
Yeah, no, you make a really good point. And people say it to me at book signings all the time. Oh, you've just gone from success to success. And I always laugh because I say, yeah, I wish I did. I mean, I started my first business when I was about right when I retired from playing professional tennis, and that succeeded. And at a pretty low level, I was making $40,000, $50,000 a year in the business, and was a coaching business and a mentoring business for athletes, and that was pretty good. But my next 7 businesses, 7 in a row, failed right at one after another. And then the 8th one became a multi-million-dollar company with 100 employees and that kind of thing. And then people see that, and that's all they see, and they think, oh, well, you must be a genius. You must be special. You must be really smart. Well, you didn't see the last 7, what was it, 8 or 9 years where every business we started failed. And then we hit the right place at the right time with the right market, with the right product, and boom, we had some success. But they don't see the times you fail. I think, to answer your question, and whatever success we've been able to, been fortunate enough to enjoy, it's really been persistence. I mean, just being either dumb enough or what, I don't know what it is, to stick in there and not go get a job when probably intelligent people would just go get a job and forget it. I say we, me and my wife, because we built all our businesses together over the last 30 plus years, and I couldn't have done anything without her. But, I think just persistence, just hanging in there long enough to figure if I keep focusing, if I keep working really hard, if I keep getting around smarter people than me, I've got a real shot. And I think anyone can do it if they do that.
That's great. Well, we will leave with that message, Steve. Our time is up. Unfortunately, I wish I had you for another half hour, but our time is up. I got my guy over there telling me that's it. So thank you so much for being with us. This is your house. Mi casa es tu casa. So please come back whenever you want in your next book, in your next endeavor. I will see you at all the Wealth Wave events. I know that we will. And give my love to your wife, please. She gave me a green tea when my voice was gone and I still needed one more event. So I adore her for that. Give her my love. And one last thing you want to say before we go?
I would just say, with I know it's a strange time for people. It's a time of fear with the pandemic and everything. But remember, this too will end, and we will all come out of it stronger than we were before.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you all next Monday at 12:15. Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for being with us today.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way. I'm all the way.